Hi, how are you doing?
Fantastic. Hello, everyone. Hello, Christina. Hello, everyone out there watching.
All right, let's say hi to some of the people we've got in here. It looks like we've got Jimmy B's Adventures, Little Twisted. Hey, girl. Liana. Hello, beautiful. How is everybody doing tonight? Christopher, I'm so honored to be a guest on your show tonight. Grizzly's out hunting Bigfoots, and he asked me to come join you. So I'm excited to learn from you tonight. What are we going to be talking about?
First, I want to say hello to my friend Rachel, who probably is watching or will be watching, and I want to say hello to everyone. And tonight, we're going to be discussing USOs, underwater submerged objects. This could be anything from animals that you see popping out of the ocean or sea or lake that may be strange to you. Maybe their eyes are glowing. Maybe they just look entirely weird. Or it could be UFOs, underwater bases, which we know there are some underneath there. In fact, some believe that's where ETs actually live. I know a little bit differently than that, but tonight we're going to be diving deep into the topic. We got great photos, great information, and even a great video clip coming up soon too. So this will be a heck of a show. Everybody stay with us.
Yes, it sounds so exciting. I personally am not that knowledgeable about USOs, so I'm so excited to see what you have in store for us because I'm always willing to learn new things.
One of the main things about USOs is the fact that they can submerge, they can come out from under the water without any sound, any waves, and sometimes without even making any motion at all. They just you see them just rise right out like nothing, and
Wow.
not even water drips from them in some cases. So let's dive right into this topic. Let's get the show rolling. Here we go. Hello, little twisted. Thank you.
All right. So I found a very interesting video, and it's from a Navy officer, excuse me, a retired Navy officer, and he actually took footage from one of the ships that they were on. So I'm gonna see if I can pull this up real quick.
Awesome. Let's do it.
Let's see, share. Was it this one right here? Oh, it's popping me over to another screen. It does not want to let me play that video right now. Of course, right? Here, I'm going to see if we can get, there we go. Oh, let's see. Nope, that's not the right one. It popped the wrong screen over. I apologize. I'm having technical difficulties tonight. I'm going to let you talk about this for just a second while I get this video figured out.
All right, fantastic. And ladies and gentlemen, get ready because you're about to go on a roller coaster ride of USOs, underwater submerged objects, a topic that I've not really discussed on this show, but I try to save some of the best shows and best episodes for later in the year, and I think this is going to be one of them. So let's get going. So
All
first of
right.
all, the United States Navy created a bit of a buzz when it revealed new guidelines for pilots who wanted to report encounters with unexplained aerial phenomenon. The guidelines were created in response to a rush of unusual sightings over the past several years. Many media outlets equated unexplained aerial phenomenon to unidentified flying objects or UFOs, which in turn was interpreted by a lot of people as meaning spacecraft flown by aliens. Now, to the disappointment of believers, most of the reported phenomena are probably due to something a bit more mundane than extraterrestrial, taking a joyride through our atmospheres. In addition to spotting experimental aircraft being tested, advisors may simply be succumbing to optical illusions or experiencing radar glitches to date. There has not been documented damage to a plane caused by a UFO. That is true. However, it has been it has been mysterious creatures from inner space rather than outer space that have posed an actual threat to the Navy. As long as there has been sailors, there have been tales of sea monsters lurking in the depths that could snatch crewmen and crush ships. There are an unknown amount of animals in the ocean that have yet to be identified. Recent discoveries, such as the humpback anglerfish and the ninja fish demonstrate that there are still plenty of things in the oceans that can fuel nightmares. It is also true that USOs, unidentified submerged objects, have presented the Navy with the greatest hazard. Now let's go back to 1978, 1 year before I was born. The USS Stein was experiencing increased sonar noise, which was interfering with operations. Upon inspection, it found that the protective rubber-like coating on the sonar had several cuts and scratches. Within the cuts were the remains of claws, actual claws that were the type found in the suction cups on the tentacles of the giant squid. Alarming, the only specimens of claws that previously had been collected by scientists were a fraction of the size of those recovered from the Stein. If it was a giant squid, the attack destroyer. If it was a giant squid, the attacked destroyer escorted it was substantially larger than any that has been documented. Old seafarers would probably claim that the Stein had somehow managed to escape the legendary crane. Now, in other instances, in 1976, a torpedo recovery boat conducting research was dragging a cargo parachute as a sea anchor when it snugged something that the crew did not know what had become entangled with in the parachute, but it was very powerful, and the ship struggled against it. Fighting the full power of the ship, the sea beast apparently suffocated when it swallowed a part of the chute. The crew pulled apart the bizarre creature that was 15 about 100. Let's see. When the crew pulled apart the bizarre creature that was 15 feet in length and weighed 750 pounds. 750 pounds and 15 feet length, people. That is pretty massive. Now, they did not realize it, but they had caught the never-before-seen megamouth shark. The megamouth shark remains elusive with only about 100 sightings since the Navy's duel with the first one. Now, in April 1955, issue of Proceedings magazine, Commander Finnegan A. Sherman wrote about what he was called to the bridge of the U.S. to look with another 12 feet of the Excuse me, let me start over. In April of 1955, a Sherman wrote about what he called to the bridge of the U.S. Hale to look while another 12 feet of the body was hanging from the starboard side. It appeared to be a shark, but Sherman had never seen one that was over 50 feet in length. He ordered the ship to back clear of the monstrous creature because he was concerned that it would become lodged into the ship's screws. As the ship freed itself from the body, Sherman took a closer look. Besides being so large, the Sherman thought that he could easily sit in its mouth. That's how large this thing was. He felt like he could sit right in its mouth. That is how large this creature actually was. Now, the beast had features different from any other shark he had ever encountered. He thought it must be from another world or a survivor from another age. Upon returning to the port, he continued to conduct research and concluded that it was a whale shark. Sightings of whale sharks at the time were extremely rare. Sherman stated that he spoke to many sailors and fishermen who had heard legends about the whale shark, but never ever seen one. And we're going to show some photos here,
Wow.
everybody, of some of these sea monsters, or as we call them, sea creatures. Let me do a screen share. All right.
Okay, let's add that up there.
Here is one of the creatures that you'll see here in this photo here. This is called the humpback angler, and this is a rather rare creature, and you hardly ever hear anybody discuss this, but this could actually, with its teeth, it could literally bite a ship in half in some cases, depending on how large the ship is. It could definitely take apart a sailboat in less than 2 to 3 seconds.
That's amazing. Those things, they have to live deep, deep down in order to like, because I mean, I see that its skin is like almost glowing, right? And it's sheer. So that tells you that they don't get sunlight.
That is true. They do not get any sunlight at all, and their eyes are very sunlight would basically blind their eyes instantly because they're not accustomed to it. But
So if someone's spotting those, that's a very rare thing to happen.
extremely rare. In fact, they haven't been seen in not since the late '80s to be exact.
That's amazing. And you said that one was how long?
That is I think 15 feet in diameter.
Wow, Lee, that's huge. That would scare me, and I'd have to change my pants if I saw something like that.
I probably
Little,
wouldn't get. I wouldn't be
little
as scared, but I wouldn't be as scared, but I wouldn't stay put and shake its hand or nothing. I can tell you
oh
that.
no, me either. Little twisted asked, almost translucent skin.
Yep, almost translucent skin, and it does glow. The skin does have a little bit of a glow factor to it.
And I actually got my video that I was trying to do a second ago, and I'm ready to show that if you want to see it now.
Oh yeah, definitely. Let's do it.
All right. We're gonna hit.
Okay. Frank Omaha, pick me kid, Rocco Peralta has the ability to launch helo ASAP.
Splashing and bearing rain. Sure. Got 2 minutes, 30 knots.
Keep going, bro.
We're making 10s. We could probably bring that 35 relative. Sir.
Yeah.
We got a lot of white water up there, so 6 foot swells.
Whoa, it's getting close. Yeah, we have 31 knots sustained wind, topside, gust of 40.
What was splashed? Splashed. Mark bearing and range.
That's pretty incredible, isn't it?
Oh, very incredible. Yes, that is a very good piece of video footage. And you're going to see another excellent video here shortly. We're going to get back to more of the. What you're about to hear, folks, is an actual case of an underwater submerged object. And this is a case that is illegal to discuss here on the show. It won't cause any harm. But what you're about to hear may be a little bit disturbing because you're going to hear first-hand encounters. So, for those who have a queasy stomach, brace yourself. And let me pull that up.
While you're pulling that one up, Little Twisted said, is that one of ours or an ET ship? So what that was actually a retired rear admiral from the Navy had put that footage out on Twitter from his ship showing that it was an unidentified flying object that was submerging down into the ground or into the water.
All right, here we go. And so, anyways, a little more than 6 miles off the coast of Point Dume in Malibu, California, an unusual-looking structure sits on the seabed floor, based on images obtained on Google Earth. Now, the oval-shaped object has a huge flat top and what appears to be pillars or columns that seem to reveal the entrance to a darker inner place. The anomaly, for the moment, we'll call it that, is apparently 2,000 feet below the surface of the water, measuring nearly 3 miles wide. What exactly is this thing? Well, according to the website of California-based radio program Fade to Black, this may be the holy grail of UFOs or USOs, underwater submerged objects, that researchers have been looking for over the last 40 plus some odd years. Now, Jimmy Church, who hosts Fade to Black on the Dark Matter Radio Network, check him out, he's fantastic, told the Huffington Post one of his listeners, someone named Maxwell, we'll call him that, contacted him with a Google Earth image showing something odd underwater off the coast of Malibu. Church then asked graphic designer Dale Romeo to capture as many angle images as anomaly as he could of this anomaly as he could. Now, I needed him to find a way to get it under and above the water, Church said. My first impression was that it was Greek. It looked artificial and it didn't look natural. Now, when you're looking at it from above, it's a nearly perfect oval shape, Church continued. In the natural surroundings, nothing is symmetrical. Everything is eroded and covered in rocks and sloping and peaking in right here for 2 miles. It is a perfect oval with a black separation or outline to it. It just stands out that it has to be some type of a roof. It is not unlike a dome stadium or a covered indoor racetrack or an Olympic area. It's got that feel to it. It looks a perfect oval structure sitting on a construction site. Now, using Google Earth, which are, by the way, 34, 1, 23, 31 north, 118, 59, 46, and 64 west, Church and Romeo came up with a series of images starting from due south, looking north, all the way around, ending up due north, looking back south. As unusual as this anomaly appears, is alien UFO base the only realistic explanation for it? Well, I didn't see anything special about it. I think it's because it looks like there's a flat surface on, and then below it, it looks like there are 3 vertical columns. So somebody can say, oh, this is the entryway to something special. Earthquake geologist said David Schwartz of the U.S. Geological Survey. I think it's natural and it is part of the continental shelf. It's just a complicated part of what's now offshore that has seen some erosion and maybe slumping when perhaps this was particularly exposed when sea levels was lower. Now, this is a really major earthquake area, and perhaps some of these features are a result of sloping failure due to the shaking. So what he's saying is that he thinks that some of this could have been simply due to earthquakes and over time aging things that settle. But now there's no flag under the water that says it's the entrance to alien base. There's nothing that proves that. There's nothing unnatural looking about it. It's just showing some sort of variation in some offshore coastal land or area. Now, Schwartz shared with Huffington Post a paper published in 2009 by the Geological Society, America, showing cross sections of anomaly area designated as by those who actually study this underwater region. The following images, which you're about to see, is from the paper. If you look left of the middle of the illustration, you can clearly see the oval-shaped anomaly. Some refer to it as the underwater UFO base. Now, this is interesting as a thrust fault, Schwartz said, meaning one side of the crust moves upward over the other, and what we're looking at is interpreted as being the surface expressions of this dome, which is part of a large fault system in Southern California. The bottom line, he added, is that people have recognized this. Could this be the final truth, what this object is? Let's do a screen share. I'm going to show everybody what that illustration looks like. Let me pull it up here. All right.
Pulling that up. Little Twisted said Michael Salas has been talking with a military whistleblower that's been on it. She also said one sitting underwater at the Bermuda Triangle too.
I've heard that before. That is true, and I also personally know of a few other areas where there are some stuff underwater, but I won't go into details. But let's do a screen share. Let's see this image here. Do a screen share. Da da da.
Got that up there for you.
And this is where they feel the object is, and it's right amongst where the arrow is pointing. And you can see now what they were describing was this object is a humongous, like, flat surface. They were thinking that this is like the dome or the entranceway or the roof per se of what's underneath there, the roof of the building or the large area, and that very well could be true. And we'll get into more of that as we continue on with the story. Now, they also said that they thought maybe this could be from volcano eruptions or different things that have settled underwater that made that flat surface over time. We'll get back to the story in a second. And if anybody has any questions about this or anything, please put it in the chat room. I'll be glad to answer.
Yes, 100%. Please put all of your questions in caps so we can read them on the screen. I don't know if you know much about this, but from a spiritual aspect for myself, I know that the Great Awakening started happening in 2017, and 2024 is supposed to be like the biggest year for the Great Awakening, right?
Right.
But the reason that we're having the Great Awakening is because the government signed a 75-year contract with alien species, and that 75-year contract is actually supposed to be coming up in 2027, I do believe it is. Do you know anything about that?
I do know a little bit. I can't go into details, but I will say you are on the right path.
I just get told what Spirit tells me, and I listen. I'm sent here to be a teacher of the teachers, and anybody who wants to be taught how to handle that spiritual warfare that's coming, that's what I'm here for.
All right, so we're going to continue on with the story here. We got some great photos, stuff coming up. Even got a great video clip coming up, so stay with us. This only gets better as it goes along. Thank you, Little Twisted. Thank you, everybody in the chat room for watching, and this is a fantastic show. And here we go.
Grizzly said few people know about that, correct, Christopher?
That is correct. And the reason why people don't know about it is because you don't get as many reports of USOs as you do UFOs. But we do get some, and believe it or not, some that we do get are reported a lot of times past reports. People have seen things over the years back. You don't get as many USO reports nowadays as we did, let's say, back in the 80s, 70s, 60s, 50s. But occasionally we do get people that report seeing lights underwater, seeing things coming up from the water. A lot of it is at nighttime, oddly enough, but we do get a few reports occasionally.
Also, we are starting to get stuff as it's becoming declassified from the military. And I know, like, when I was in the military, there was a lot of stuff that when I got out of the military, I had to go through a declassification process, right? Because I'm not allowed to talk about a lot of things that happened in my career. But all of these documents, they are only held under classification for so many years. And then once they're starting to come out and everybody's able to start reading all of this, that's kind of what started the awakening, right? Because people were able to see that what they're going through, what they're feeling, what they're seeing, they're not crazy. It's just it's being covered up.
I work with people like that on a daily basis, people who have claimed to have ET encounters or have had contact, and a lot of these people that tell me they were afraid to come clean or come out with their story until they felt comfortable, and now with the information coming out and other people reporting their stories, they begin to have a pattern. Okay, this is not an uncommon thing, and they start talking about it more.
Right. Little Twisted said over here that Laura Eisenhower, President Eisenhower's granddaughter, has actually talked about this. And then she said, wait until 2025.
That is correct. Laura Eisenhower did a show a few nights ago. You can watch that as well on the broadcast team Alpha. It's a great episode, and she comes out with her encounters. And there is a lot of people who have encounters that are coming out more with it now. In fact, I just worked with a guy recently who had over 9 hours of missing time, and he was afraid to even tell anybody until he heard about MUFON. He saw some of our shows, and that helped him build the confidence he needed to come out with his story.
That's awesome.
So getting back to what we were discussing just a little bit ago, Huffington Post reached out to John Anthony West, an independent Egyptologist who won an Emmy for his research in the 1993 NBC documentary Mysteries of the Sphinx, in which he and geologist Robert Sturz presented evidence that the Great Sphinx of Giza may be thousands of years older than previously thought. West examined the images of the Malibu underwater object, and the pictures are a bit misleading in that it looks as though it's on a shore. West told Huffington Post, "My first reaction, knowing that it was 2,000 feet under the water, was that under no circumstances could it be in fact an artificial man-made, as I have some experience in looking at geology and distinguishing between what could perhaps be artificial and there some sort of a gray area in between. As far as I'm concerned, there's no gray area distinguishing between what could be perhaps by artificial and there is some sort of gray area in between. As far as I'm concerned, there is no gray area." West says he's inclined to go along with geological explanations. It doesn't look as all man-made. It doesn't look at all man-made. In what looks like pillars, there are unevenly spaced, and then to the right you see other seemingly pillars, still attached actually to bedrock in the process of forming. And yet West acknowledges unidentified flying objects. He says, "And I'm convinced that UFOs are a reality. There is too much evidence out there beyond that. We don't know anything. We don't know who or what they are. They're here. How much of this stuff is our own government? A point beyond that is that anything that isn't explained, that can be explained by current scientific methods, automatically it's aliens. It's the explanation of last resort. And I just don't buy that." Also weighing in on the Malibu mysteries is former FBI Special Agent Ben Hansen, who has extensive background investigating and analyzing questionable pictures and videos. Hansen supplied the Huffington Post with the following Google Earth images of the underwater object in question. This was taken from a different angle of the mysterious base. Hansen told Huffington Post in an email, "The dark areas that people are saying look like the inside of the base really starts to look just like shading in indications to their shelf, and the pillars are now represented as jagged ridges." Hansen cautious about how we interpret things we see on Google Earth. Google obtains their underwater data from several different sources, including satellites, radar, echo, sonar from the Navy, NOAA, and NSA, and other agencies, because they're often used very differently in technology. The derived information isn't going to agree. What it does, Google relies on its automatic 3D auto-generated process to make sense of it. We're dealing with limited information to render the graphics because we can see evidence of the images between anomaly and the areas immediately surrounding it. Hansen added that blurry sections of jagged areas of the photographs suggest a patchwork of images processed and has taken place, thinking that the images were like patched together to look like one full image. In the end, we're left with a variety of theories to explain the Malibu anomaly, eventually proven right, leaving geologists in the deep blue dust, scratching their heads and wondering how they got it wrong. West concedes the possibility that this object could be an entrance of sorts, in the same way that the actions of moving water can form caves below the surfaces. So basically what they're saying is that this could be a opening to an underground base that over time has formed into the shape or the condition that it's in. Now there's no big mystery to this thing, 2,000 feet under the sea, in terms of it being an entrance. Of course, until you get a camera there, You don't know where the entrance is leading. Now, I'd hazard to guess that it doesn't go in too far, and if they do get in there, I think the chances are that they're not going to find the lost treasure of Atlantis. Well, if anybody could ever get down there and get a clear images of it, which I think it is possible nowadays, that would be amazing to see exactly what it is and get and basically you're gonna have to judge for yourself. Do we have any questions in the chat room?
So while we're waiting to see if there are any questions, I have a friend who claims to be a reincarnated Atlantean, and he says that we need to look closer to the Bahamas. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I will say that there have been some sightings in the Bahamas. There's been at least from the last year and a half, I would say 3 or 4 sightings in Bahamas alone.
He
a lot of
also
the sightings. Go ahead.
I was going to say he also says that we won't truly ever find Atlantis because they destroyed it and almost destroyed the entire Earth when they blew it up.
I have heard that. I have heard that before, and some people say Atlantis is still out there. I did a show on that, and I can say that Atlantis, in certain forms, is still out there, but it's not like it once was.
Right. Little Twisted said, "What is your perspective on this, Christopher?"
I believe that it is an underground base and is opening to the base. I do know firsthand from some people I spoke to that there is underground bases. In fact, I know a friend of mine who has a family that worked in the underground bases, not so much in water, but in underground itself. And the bases are a lot like just normal day-to-day activity type bases, only they're underground, and that's where they work and operate on the ships and some of the stuff that they collect from over the years.
Yeah. Poncho said, here, let me pull the comment back up. Poncho said, "I'll look closer at the Bahamas. Anyone want to go with me?"
Sure.
I'm always down for a trip to the Bahamas, okay? If we get to do a little hunting, then that's extra.
I will say that I know for a fact the underground bases look a lot like a big city. They got restaurants, homes, they got different things, and you're basically looking it looks just like what you're looking at now, only you're not above ground.
Exactly.
We got a great video to show everybody here, so we'll do that here in just a second.
All right. Oh my goodness. Poncho said there needs to be a Bigfoot Outlaw Grizzly cruise to the Bahamas.
That would be fantastic. That would be fantastic. I'm all for that as well. Let's see here.
Yeah, when my Atlantean friend told me this, I was like, whoa, like I started really believing a lot of what he was saying because a lot of the information that he was talking about is not stuff that's just made public knowledge. So I was like, maybe he's right. Maybe we do need to go hunt down there. But he says that it's all in ruins because, well, they were creating mass destruction, and the only ones that got out were the ones that went through a portal right before the explosion happened.
Right. Let me get the video loaded up here 1 second.
Yeah, you're fine. Poncho, you dream huge. I'm all about big dreams. Big dreams take us to big places. Little Twisted, you're funny, ma'am.
All right, one small problem here. It won't take but a second. I goofed up here, so let me bring it back up. All right, this video you're about to see here in just a second. Let me see here. All right.
So, do you think that it's not only just like we're seeing alien ships going underwater, but they're actually saying that the different species of like animals that they're seeing under there are also part of the USOs? Is that what I'm understanding?
Yes, what they're saying underwater is a combination of yes, what we're seeing underwater animals that you see, like the large 15 feet animals that they see, are also a member of the ET race, just like but they're not actual ETs or even like humans. They're more of a animal, but they got a lot of the features of ETs as well. In fact, some of the ETs can actually go underwater and actually survive underneath there. They have the ability to do that. I'm not familiar with all the undersea animals, but I do know that those that are there and they're still in existence. They're not they're not gone, but they have the ability to travel back and forth from.
Yeah, and that actually aligns exactly with what Poncho is saying. Poncho says, sorry, I believe Atlantis is under a lot of water and maybe still used by aliens.
It is possible. I can't say either way. But I do believe that I do believe that is possible. Let's check out this video. I think everybody's going to get a kick out of this, and
Awesome.
brace yourself. This is a pretty interesting clip, or actually, I should say video. Let's do a share screen, and here we go. Let me yes, I think I need to share. Sorry, I need to share sound real quick here. Let me see.
No worries. Little Twisted said, in my opinion, Atlantis is under Antarctica. Now, if we go with the comic book style stories, that is where Superman's home layer is from when he came to Earth. Okay, just saying.
Yep, I've heard that before, and this is from the podcast show Fade to Black, and you're going to see. We'll watch this. This is fantastic. And you're going to hear some sound too. So here we go. I won't spoil anything, but.
I actually just had to turn that off because it is copyrighted and we have to get permission to play that one.
Ah, shoot. Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that.
No problem. We can.
Poncho said there was just a government official who said they have sonar returns of craft underwater at extremely high speeds. And Poncho, I know you weren't in here at the a little bit earlier, but I did show a video of what they thought was a craft going underwater. So if you get a chance to check that out after the show posts.
Yeah, definitely check that out, Poncho. And so it is true. If you go out to some of the Great Lakes and some of the like the Atlantic Ocean, the Arctic Ocean, some of the other places, go out there in the middle of the night, take your cameras with you. You can also use fourth generation night vision goggles and just go out there and sit quietly, or not to be quiet necessarily, but just sit. You will see lights in the ocean. You will see things that sometimes maybe even pop out of the ocean, and it will catch your eye. I mean, you will definitely see something, because I almost guarantee you there's so many things that go on under in those Great Lakes that we'll never fully understand. However, using the right kind of equipment, you can actually capture these on video and on camera. And don't use the newer cameras, because a lot of the newer cameras have special filters that block out certain things that you can't see with the naked eye, because they're designed to give you a crystal clear picture. Go get yourself an older camera, maybe one from like the early 90s, even 80s, and put a cassette tape in there, a videotape in there, and record those images. And when you play them back, when you play the video back, you'll be able to capture a lot more, even things you didn't see with your own naked eye, because the older cameras can capture things on a level and that we cannot with our own eyes. They have higher frequencies, and they can capture the unexplained, and you'll be able to capture things a lot more. In fact, if you take a camera just out at nighttime, like say 11 o'clock tonight, and go out into the forest or the woods, you will capture shadow figures and different things that you wouldn't see with your own eyes because you can get on those levels. The newer cameras, however, they can't do that. They're designed to block a lot of noise out and things that are considered paranormal or unexplained.
So in the comments, they're talking about how there's an underwater base off of the coast of California as well. They've also been talking about the base that is in Antarctica. And Little Twisted kind of went down my alley and said, remote view under Antarctica. It's amazing. So lots of things that are being talked about over here in the comments. And Bigfoot just said, no computers processing. How do you feel about all of that, Christopher?
What's he mean by no computers processing?
Can you clarify on that, Bigfoot? And while we're waiting on him to clarify, what do you think about them talking about like the whole huge, oh, he's saying on cameras, no computers processing on the cameras.
Yeah, and like I said, there are so much things that you can capture basically with your own old-fashioned cameras and own eyes. You're going to get a lot more, and that's where we document most of our evidence when we're using when doing our paranormal weekly shows and monthly shows that we do with Something Wicked, which can also be found on Facebook and YouTube. Something Wicked Paranormal Investigations, and we capture so many more things with the old-fashioned cameras, and that's why I say if you go out into like some of the bigger oceans, or even just the basic waters and lakes, you're gonna capture a lot more evidence than you would with even with no more cell phone. Even newer cell phones are blocking a lot of the good quality evidence that you need for investigations, and even like Bigfoot investigations, you need the old-fashioned equipment because the older the equipment, the less filters you have, so you're capturing more of the unknown.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Grizzly just said yes, old-fashioned equipment. Yes. Now, I'm kind of curious as to your thoughts on this. I'm noticing that everybody's mentioning all of these underwater bases everywhere, right? Like we just talked about the Bahamas and California and Antarctica. How many underwater bases do we think there are, or do we even talk about it?
I could say at least that I know of, at least anywhere from 4 to 5.
And I'm noticing that all of this is kind of like, okay, so the Bahamas are in our area, California base, and then of course Antarctica is kind of out there, but there's nothing out there. Do we know of any that are over maybe like Europe area, Asia, anywhere over in that area?
I don't know about anything in Europe or Asia. I do know some of them seems like a lot of what I've heard from mainly is down in more of the southern and western areas, but I'm not saying there isn't any up there in north. In fact, I could probably remote view some of the areas in Europe and stuff and see what's underneath there.
Grizzly said thousands of them, and yes, there's lots around the UK. And I know I'm probably asking questions and not everybody will know the answers to, but have we ever discovered anything like around the North Pole area? Because I know that's all covered in, huge slabs of ice and glaciers and all that stuff too.
Yeah, there probably is some stuff around the North Pole. In fact, I've heard some stories from other members of MUFON and stuff about things in the North Pole. Little Twisted says, I believe that military whistleblowers said there are 12 to 15 alien ships sitting in status underwater right now. I do know some. That is true. You are correct, Little Twisted. There are some. And Bigfoot says, Grizzly says, yeah, UK is going crazy around the coast. North Pole is off limits.
Wow. I wonder why they keep it off limits. I mean, if they don't let us see something, that means that there's got to be hyper activity there, right?
Oh, yes, definitely. In fact, I could probably, like I say, remote view that. We just did a show last weekend, paranormal episode of that going to be released soon. And of course, we were using some of the older equipment and going and trying to tap into the unknown. And this was actually a old-fashioned school that we investigated. And using our equipment, I was able to capture with an old camera I have the image of a gymnasium gym coach, I should say, sitting at his desk. He was sitting at his desk, and you can see him doing his paperwork at his desk. I captured the image of it, And if you take cameras like that old equipment, just go out anywhere, it don't matter, even in your own backyard, it will capture sounds of the unknown and stuff because you can get into that level a lot more better. Area Williams says there are bases that the military knows nothing about. I believe that is true.
Me too. And I think that is part of that 75-year contract that I was talking about. Like, I personally think that they are setting up and they're getting ready for that contract to end. And when it ends, we're going to just see aliens walking among us.
Well, actually, they are.
I mean, they are now, but
right.
we're going to see them once the contract ends, right?
Right. I did a show last night with Podcast Alpha, for those who know of that. And on that show, we were discussing this quote unquote fake alien invasion that's going to be happening relatively soon. And what that's going to consist of is going to be a combination of the government and different people. I shouldn't discuss stuff like this here on this show, so we'll keep it plain. But you definitely don't want to. You got to understand the difference between what is actually UFO and what is not UFO, because there are man-made objects that are going to look a lot like UFOs. You don't know the difference. And so how do you tell the difference? Well, simple. An actual UFO or even a USO is going to make, number one, no sound. And they're going to be able to move in speeds and in different forms that we, as our own equipment, we cannot in some cases. Although we're getting better at making stuff similar to UFOs, so sometimes it is hard to tell the difference. But no sound, no it's going to move quicker than what we can do ourselves, and we can. It's also going to have light patterns that are completely off. As far as patterns, it's not going to be like a red bling grue. Red bling grue is going to be just random lights, and they can also change shape, morphing, shape shifting, and they can fly in directions just out of and gone just in a matter of seconds.
Yep. I agree. Little Twisted said, ask yourself this: why does UK have a building at the highest point in the world, Mount Hermon? A portal, maybe? Something is coming.
It could be the reason they have a building at the highest point in the world of Mount Hermon is because, maybe something is coming. I will say that from what I've heard, that this per se invasion thing that they're thinking of could be coming within the next couple of years, but that is speculation. We'll have to see. If it does come, if everybody would remain calm and not panic, that's going to save a lot of hectic, because a lot of people are going to hear about this and they're going to think that they're in trouble. We're all going to die per se. We're not. There is no actual invasion. I know that for a fact.
Let's see. We have another question from Little Twisted and Translucent too. Christopher, they can cloak.
They can cloak. They can shape shift. They can take. Let's say you see 2 or 3 UFOs in the sky. They can morph into one, because in all actuality, in some cases they are one. One ship can be 2 or 3 different ships.
This one that Little Twisted asked a second ago, she said, yes, Arla, since the beginning when the angels fell. What do we know about the angels falling? I've not heard too much about that.
I've not heard a whole lot about that myself. I do know that ETs, when they come here on Earth, they will come in some cases human form, because of the fact they don't want to scare us off with their natural look. And I've actually had some that came to me personally, and family-wise and stuff, but they were in human form, and they look just like us. But when they go into their natural form, they look more like what we call a praying mantis, or in some cases a gray-looking creature.
Right, and that's kind of where we get all of these sci-fi type creatures from, right? Is because people are giving images of what they have seen, but they don't want to put it out to the world yet that it's not just sci-fi make-believe.
No, majority of what people claim to be evil or claim to be per se, when you use the term scary, is the fact that when they first lay eyes on something like this, or even think about it, their initial thought process is scary or evil. And even if they see an ET in its natural form, their first thought is, okay, this is going to harm me. It's not. But their first thought is that and then they go and they tell other people or even draw what they think they saw, and then of course there again the whole fear process gets bigger, and the bigger the fear process gets, the more scary other people around that area gets, and then therefore you got these group of people claiming that they see or they heard of this big mean looking creature, when the whole thing was just as you say, kind of like a snowball effect. It gets bigger, the fear gets larger, and makes more
Right. Bigfoot said some say that the ETs are all fallen angels. And then Twisted said the angels made their agreement to rebel on top of Mount Hermon. That's very interesting. Um, I had someone tell me once that they thought that if an angel revealed themselves to humans, then a wraith would come and erase their memory. What do you think about that?
well, so basically when we are born into this world, we're born with everything that we're taught: reading, writing, arithmetic, even religion. And then we come to take that into our, and we take that as being the way that things are. And then as we grow up and we grow older, we begin to hear about other stories of things that we didn't know about, such as ET or paranormal, or even things like angels, or such so on and so forth. But we hear about these things, and then we think, well, because we weren't taught that, that's not the way it is. And then as we grow older, we begin to learn, okay, maybe some of that stuff is true. Just like life as a star seed for some people who are born up there as ET. When you're born as an ET, of course, you're put, in some cases, you're put down here in human form because you choose that way. Your soul, your conscience makes a deal. I'm going to be a human. I'm going to come down here on Earth and live my life here. And then when you die, you have the option of coming back as another human or going up there as ET. But your conscience knows of your family up there, and your conscience will always be able to go, because as family, they will come back and take you up there from time to time. And so even as a human, you can still be ET in conscience, because your conscience, because the soul, people think of a soul as like, okay, like a spirit or something, but actually it's just a conscience. It's what it is, and conscience
Exactly.
level.
Yeah, you're right.
When you die in physical form, your conscience is still there and it has all the memories attached to it.
Exactly. And so I know my show is kind of newer to the channel, but this is something that I actually teach on is star seeds, right? And how they come to be here and what happens through their journey, and where all of it comes from and what we're here for. And this is all stuff that, this is my realm right here that you're talking about right now. So I'm like, oh my gosh, we only have a couple of minutes left, but I want to say so much. But I guess if y'all want to find out about it, you can come to my show.
Having been myself been encountered with ETs, I know it's all peaceful, and I've learned that everything that I've been through and other people have been through, it is very calming, and more of a motherly type thing as far as anything goes. I'm not saying that every person has the same calming experiences, but I know the ones I've had have been very calming, and I'm thankful for my family and everything that I've been through. So
Yeah, definitely. And hi Greg, nice to see you in here. Uh, so for me personally, I know I'm a star seed. I don't talk about the type of star seed that I am because, I like to let everybody try to figure things out, but it's part of the process of also letting them have to research star seeds and find out for themselves if they resonate with anything. Um, Oh yes, Little Twisted. Look, Little Twisted is on a roll in these comments. She said, "Read your text and Enoch and Plato to start." And then also up here a little earlier, she said, "There's a portal on top of Mount Hermon. It's in the Bible, and at the base of the mountain is the gates of hell. There's definitely a portal." I feel like she has definitely done some research on this. But
Thank you, Little Twisted. Great job on your research, and thank you, everybody. Thank you,
yes.
Jay.
I definitely want to thank you for everything that you've shared with us tonight about the USOs, because I was very uneducated about it. And when I got told by Grizzly at the last minute, hey, I'm out in the woods and I need someone to go produce a show for me, I said, well, I don't want to produce a show without knowing anything of what's going on. So thanks to you, I got to learn a little bit beforehand, and you gave a wealth of knowledge this evening. Is there anything else that you wanted to share with us?
I want to say to everybody, please stay positive, remain peaceful, and send out love, because the more love you put into the universe, the more love you're going to get back from the universe. What you put out is what you take in. Anything that you want to manifest in your own reality, if you think it and put it out as happiness, it's going to come back to you.
Yes, I 100% agree with that statement. And if the people want to find you, to contact you and ask you questions, where can they find you at?
Yeah, you can find me not only on Facebook, but you can also find me on mufon.chris@yahoo.com. I teach a remote viewing class 3 nights a week. We're getting ready to start our time travel class coming up. Everybody's welcome to sign up for that. Just send me an email. And we're also on YouTube and Facebook with SWPI, Something Wicked Paranormal Investigations. And of course, you can find me right here on Grizzly's channel, so check him out. He's got all kinds of videos. You're sure to find something that you like. And now I'm also on the Conscious Awakening Network, which is down. You can also find that on the app. You can watch my shows there. I just did a show last night on what it's like to be a starseed, and you can find that all out. It's great. And thank you, everybody. Thank you, Little Twisted. Thank you, Grizzly. Thank you. What is your name again? Oh,
Christina.
Yes, thank you,
Yes.
Christina. And it's been a pleasure.
No problem. Thank you so much for allowing me to be here with you on this 1 hour journey tonight. And I want to thank everybody who was here in the comments with us. We just want to say thank you for being part of the Outlaw family, broadcasting from coast to coast, all around the world. We want to thank you and have a good night.
Thank you very much. Everybody have a good night.